Here are 7 signs that you as an athlete need to start working and improving on your nutrition. Let's go. Hi, I'm Alex, a sports dietitian and nutritionist. Welcome to my channel. Great to have you here. So as an athlete, you got to be focusing on sports nutrition. And as I always like to say, sports nutrition is a different beast. There are different considerations. And strategic sports nutrition is a pillar of your athlete's success. There's no two ways about it. You need to be focusing on nutrition. You need to know when you need to be optimizing your nutrition and when your nutrition needs work. You need to know these things. Because remember, it's not just about knowing what to do. It's all about knowing what not to do as well. And specifically today, it's about knowing what you should be looking out for to determine if maybe you need to be bridging that gap, fine-tuning your nutrition, and actually improving it. In other words, knowing when you need to work on that food game. Work on your nutrition, so to speak. So without further ado, let's get into it. Number 1 is tiredness or a lack of energy. If you're noticing you're getting tired more, your energy is dropping, all this sort of thing, that's a good chance that it's related to poor nutrition and needing to actually optimize your fueling game. Because without the fueling game, being where it needs to be, you're not going to be getting the energy you need. And that's when you notice yourself being more tired, more lack of energy, especially as an athlete who's, training so heavily and playing games and all this sort of stuff, you're going to notice it. Number 2 is a decrease in performance metrics, whatever that may be for you. But specifically, the way you want to look at it is noticing a decrease in your sporting performance. So if you're, let's say in basketball, you're noticing that you're not able to get through a whole game like you did before. You're not able to shoot as effectively. You're not able to jump as well as you used to. All these sort of things you can notice, and these are kind of performance metrics. But that's just one example. There are multiple ways that you can look at this. It's just about knowing what does performance mean for you as the athlete that you are in your specific sport and your specific aspirations, and then determining if that performance is lacking. Because if you're noticing that, there's a good chance, in fact, that the food situation is not where it needs to be. So you need to dial that, improve it, fine tune it, and just work on it. Number 3 is a change in mood or an increase in irritability specifically. So if you notice you're getting more irritable, with family, friends, teammates, you're noticing your mood's going more up and down than usual, you're getting annoyed more often, these can be a sign that your food game's not where it needs to be. Because if you're not fueling yourself as effectively as you should be, and your body's not getting that influx of nutrients, that influx of energy and recovery and all this sort of thing, your body and your mental state's going to be in a position where things are just going to be fluctuating a lot. And that's not where you want to be. If you're noticing moods are impacted, there's a chance you're not giving yourself enough food. In a way, think of it like kind of being hangry in a sense, but something a bit more longer term and related likely to a bigger issue when it comes to nutrition rather than just skipping a meal. Number 4 is slower recovery times or increased delayed onset muscle soreness. So if you're noticing after training, playing games, working out, you're noticing your muscles are more achy for a longer period of time, or you're noticing that previous recovery times were much better than what they are now, or maybe you've started a sport and you're noticing that your recovery times aren't improving, all of these can be a sign that your recovery nutrition is not where it needs to be and it needs to actually be improved. Because if you're not recovering, of which nutrition is a big part of it, if you're not recovering properly, you're going to notice it physically and even mentally. You're going to notice the exhaustion, of course, but you're also going to notice the aches and the pains and the fact that you can't go back to your optimal state between each training session or between each game or between each workout, whatever it is that you're doing. So look out for your recovery times. Look out for your muscle feel, so to speak. Look out for these things, because if they're lacking or taking longer to kind of recover, it's a sign that you need to really up that recovery game. Number 5 is reduced concentration or impacted mental acuity, as we call it. So we always think about how does nutrition impact our performance when it comes to physical, how it makes us feel physically. We always think about these things, but we tend to disregard or forget even the importance of how nutrition translates to good mental performance as well. You shouldn't be just focusing on physical. You need to be focusing on the mental part of it as well, because that's such a big part of your success as an athlete. Plus, it's so important to your health and well-being. But if you're noticing you're making snap decisions like you did before, your decision making on the field or on the court is not like what it used to be, your concentration just in general is not kind of there. If you notice your mental acuity, your sharpness is not quite what it used to be, these are signs that your nutrition has dropped a peg, or it could be that you're not really fueling yourself to the demands of your sport that you should be doing. So look out for these things, because mental performance is super important and I want you to be focusing on it. Number 6 is getting sick more often. A lack of good nutrition will equal a decreased immune system, a decreased immunity, so to speak. It will lead you to be more likely to get sick. So if you're noticing you're getting more sick more often, or greater severity of sickness, it could be a sign that your nutrition is not where it needs to be, because it's not allowing you to reinforce your immune system. So if you used to get sick once a year, now you're getting sick multiple times a year, then there is a chance there that the nutrition part of this equation is not where it needs to be. So just look into it, work on it, build it back up, because your immune system is such an important part of this. And of course, just regardless of health and well-being here, if you know right there, if you're not able to be well for your training, to be well for your games, then you're not going to be there for your team. And if you're not there for your team, or there for yourself if it's an individual sport, like let's say tennis, then you're not going to be able to be achieving the best results you can. So quite simple there. And finally, number 7, last but definitely not least, is an increase in injury risk, or you're noticing that there's an increase in physical stress. So nutrition, as I said, is super important for recovery, for fueling, for ensuring that both your physical and your mental state is where it needs to be. But what happens when you're a high-level athlete and you're training so often, but your nutrition game is slipping up? What happens then? Well, you'll notice that, linked maybe in with some of those other ones, like decision making and that sort of stuff, you're able to put yourself in a position where your injury risk is increased, because maybe you're making the wrong decisions. But also at the same time, more physical stress. If your body is not recovered and it's not where it needs to be, then you'll actually notice signs of physical stress and find signs of niggling injuries and that sort of thing. And these are the things you want to look out for, because the quicker you catch it, the better off you'll be. You don't want to lead to obviously a more serious injury, knock on wood, that's not what we need here. That's not what we want. That's not a good situation. But just noticing little signs and symptoms here and there early on can put you in a position to rectify those earlier than they need to be. Okay, so that's something that's important for you to look at, is think about your injury risk, because good nutrition can put you in a position where your injury risk can decrease. Okay. Of course, there's always going to be the luck of the draw there. Sometimes you'll get injured regardless of what happens, and regardless of what your food game is and your training and that sort of stuff. But we're just talking about here about what we can control. And if I can get you to focus on your nutrition, to put you in a better physical state, reduce that physical stress, well, we'll both be happy there. So there you go. That's my 7 signs and symptoms that I want to share with you on, ways that you can identify if you as an athlete need to start working on nutrition and improving it. If your nutrition, in other words, is lacking, then hopefully these signs and symptoms will help you identify, because it's about building awareness. This is about you now having in your toolbox these signs and symptoms to think about, so you can identify it earlier. And then the sooner you identify it, the sooner you can improve it. And that's where you put yourself into that position to reach your peak potential as an athlete. Of course, I do want to say, keep in mind that these signs and symptoms can be linked in with all of this and linked in with nutrition, but it doesn't mean that nutrition is the only thing impacting this. So don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm not saying that if you're noticing these symptoms, it's because of nutrition. There could be multiple things causing things. So it's just one part of the picture that I want you to think about. And as a sports dietitian, as a nutrition professional, I feel it's my duty to kind of share that with you from my perspective. Now what I want you to do is comment below. Okay, comment below and let me know, what sport do you play and what are your goals in your sport this year? Comment below and let me know. As always, hit the like button if this video has been helpful. So it's shared some good knowledge for you, giving you some perspective. Hit the like button, show it some love. Until next time, stay classy, have a good one, see you later, bye.